Alright, you guys hit that subscriber button 50 times. We have hit the first milestone. And I know exactly what we're going to do for a first milestone. 3 of the big 5 of Pibby mods. Now, Pibby mods for me are a bit tricky, to say the least, because on one hand, you have gorgeous stuff like this, and then on the other hand, you have this. Ugh. Yeah, it doesn't take a genius to tell there's not a lot of good Pibby mods out there. But out of the over hundreds of Pibby mods, I feel like there are 5 that I would consider to be some of, if not the best Pibby mods out there, which I have named the Big 5. And I'm going to go through the Big 5 in the order from worst to best. To start off with, we have Pibby Apocalypse. Look, I like this mod, but it has a few drawbacks. One, it's kind of short, easily the shortest of the Big 5, and 2, I think it's kind of generic in its character selection. Like, really? Finn again? And they're adding Steven too, which is just a little bit generic. At least Gumball isn't as generic, but it's not exactly uncommon either. It's still a really good mod though. It has some really high highs, but it does have some... it has some problems as well. Broken Strings. I want to put this one higher because from what I've seen of Broken Strings, it's looking to be an amazing mod. However, I can't put higher for a few reasons. One, it's not fully finished, and this leads into the other reason. I don't like fully checking out mods before they're officially out, so I haven't allowed myself to see the entire OST, so I can't fully judge it, so it has to be in 4th. Glitched Legends. This is a very unpopular mod nowadays, and while I used to glaze over it an unhealthy amount, like seriously, I was in my top 5 of all mods, time did erode it down quite a bit, and while still some ridiculously high highs, it also just doesn't have anything else I want to come back to besides those highs. Darkness Takeover. For this being the shortest of the Big 5, I really like it. It takes a completely new concept of Pibby and really gives a factor of fear into it that not a lot of other Pibby mods do, and I love that style. But it is a little short, hence why I don't think it's the best. And then there's Pibby Corrupted 1.5. Pibby Corrupted was the first ever Pibby mod I checked out, and I used to really love it, but time did erode down the V1. But when the V1.5 came out, oh my god, I fell in love with the OST. It's so freaking good, and also it has some really high highs, and the lows aren't necessarily the worst thing ever either. So, we're ranking Darkness Takeover, Pibby Corrupted, and Pibby Apocalypse. Again, I'm not ranking Broken Strings because it's not fully out yet. The only thing I really could talk about is Tantrum, and I don't want to do that. And Glitched Legends is 51 songs, not including remixes, covers, and all that stuff, and that'll be its own separate video when V3 comes out. So, the 43 songs from the 3 mods, including Child's Play V3, Darkness, Family Guy V3, and Desolation. Yes, I know Desolation is just a teaser for right now, but I was going to give an exception because I quite like Desolation. And up first in the giant list of songs we have to cover is, oh boy, a pretty bad one. Spooked. I hate Spooked so much. My friend Axer has the base game song Spookies in, I believe, his version of F tier. And for a while, I don't understand why until I listened to Spooked again. And I completely get it now. Because Spooked is just such a weaker Spookies. It's not even funny. I have a lot of problems with this song. To start off with, the instrumental. It is unbelievably slow, which doesn't fit the melodies at all for the most part. And in so many parts, they just throw in random electric guitars that just doesn't fit at all, and I don't understand why they did that. The melodies are genuinely the most boring thing to exist on this planet. They're not fun at all. Skin Pump's chromatics are just they're not good. I genuinely despise them, and starting off with a bunch of hold notes for them was such a bad choice because they're really bad at hold notes. In fact, the only reason this song isn't ranking in F tier is because there's actually a pretty decent Spookies motif around the middle, but that's kind of the only thing I'm gonna give this song because everything else about it is hot trash besides that one Spookies melody, and I guess the boyfriend doesn't absolutely suck in this song, but that's really not saying much. I just do not like Spooked at all. You know, I could actually like Nanovirus if it wasn't for one ginormous, horrendous issue that this song has. You wanna know what that little issue is? This freaking instrumental. This just might be this is the worst FNF instrumental thing I've ever heard in my life. It is either the most annoying thing ever, or it just flat out doesn't exist. And it frustrates me to pieces because it drowns out so much of the song too. Jenny's voice isn't necessarily awful, but I don't love how she sounds here because she's just drowned out so heavily by the instrumental. Boyfriend sounds alright, but again, similar problem. And I really can't make out of any of Jenny's melodies. At least I can make out Boyfriend's melodies, and his melodies are actually pretty good for the most part, and for the song's not ranking in E tier. That, and I guess around the middle when the instrumental just doesn't exist, it's actually not half bad on Jenny's and Boyfriend's part, but yeah, Nanovirus is a bad song because its instrumental drags it down so freaking much. This is relatively worse than like Sinesse or Ending Season. I just noticed the Ending Season's filth. That's how bad it is. You know, after almost 9 months, you would think Child's Play V1 would get better for me, but, nope, it got worse. by a bit. I still don't like this song much at all, and I will be honest, I think the V3 just being so much better has just kind of weakened the song for me a little bit, because when I listen to the song, I am not happy with it at all. I have a plethora of problems with this song, and I'm just gonna get the biggest one out of the way right now. The fact this song is almost 5 minutes. Seriously, this song had no business being almost 5 minutes for an opening song. It should have been like, I don't know, 2.5. That would have been a respectable length, but it's 5. So that's an annoyance right off the bat. Gumball's chromatic in the song is very poor. In Retcon, My Amazing World, and Forgotten World, I think his chromatic actually ranges from amazing to incredible. But here, no, it is pretty bad. I hate how choppy it sounds. The instrumental, for the most part, just kind of exists. It doesn't really do much for me, which is a pretty big shame, because I was really hoping it would just do a little bit more to me for the songs this long, but it's fine. The notes, for the most part, are pretty alright. Nothing I think is absolutely great, but besides from a few, nothing I actually hate either. They're all just okay, or there's a few good melodies here, like the one that's playing right now. But other than that, I do not find enjoyment in Child's Play V1 at all. I was really hoping this song could get better over time. I listened to it so much, trying to find something I could like, but the problem is every time I found something I liked, something else just came up that I didn't, and that really hurt, not gonna lie. Familiar. Oh boy. We've got a total of 2 C tiers, and this one hasn't budged from C tier since the day I listened to it. I do not really care for Familiar because of 2 main reasons. First, the bigger of the 2 issues, Boyfriend's chromatic. What the actual hell is this chromatic? He sounds like a little kid here, and I genuinely hate how freaking high-pitched it sounds. It's not enjoyable, it never changes, this just might be bottom 10 Boyfriend chromatics right here. That's how atrocious it is. Kid Steven's chromatic isn't much better. Steven probably is one of my favorite chromatics from Pibby Corrupted, but I don't really love his kid voice much. It sounds like he's gargling on water for the most part, and I don't like that. Although, I will give props to the song. The instrumental, for the most part, is actually really good, and I think the melodies, for the most part, are pretty alright. Nothing great, but nothing necessarily bad either. Although, the song does have 2 other issues going for it that kind of finalize its C tier. One, this pause in the middle that I think drags on for a little bit too long, not gonna lie. It's only like 10 seconds, but it could have been like 5. Although, there is a plus to it. Kid Steven turns into normal Steven, which, at least his chromatic is good again, so I'll give props to that. But then there's the other issue with this song. So, in a lot of Pibby Corrupted, they have voice lines from the original shows, and for the most part, I think it's actually really good. But in Familiar, I don't like it. They already used part of this voice line in an earlier song too, which just loses so much of its charm and appeal, and I don't care for it. That being said, the last minute of this song is actually really good. Boyfriend's starting to get actually somewhat listenable, and Steven just absolutely pops off. But yeah, the first half not being the greatest thing ever, and Boyfriend's chromatic most of the way through just kills Familiar for me for so much. I swear, one comment down below that I have this song too low and I am going to blow a fuse. I like Mindless now. Isn't that enough for you guys? But yeah, when I was looking about my old video of Pibby Apocalypse, I realized I was being way too harsh to Mindless. Like, way too harsh. I really like this first half of Mindless. The intro 30 seconds is still really good, but even after Finn shows himself, I think the song carries that same energy. And what I think is Finn's weakest performance in the entire mod when it comes to his chromatic, it still sounds pretty good for the most part. The instrumental is pretty chaotic, and so are the melodies, but after a lot of listening to the song, I've grown to like the melodies and instrumental quite a bit more, not gonna lie, and I just think they're really good, although I do wish they were cooled down just a little bit, like just a tiny break every now and then wouldn't it hurt. But then there's the second half when Finn pulls out his sword, and this is kind of where my positives start to go away. So they throw in a bunch of slashing notes, which ruin the flow of both Boyfriend and Finn's melodies. They just pop in randomly when both of them are singing. Like, Finn's just sings melody and it just gets cut in with a slash. Boyfriend cuts in, the Finn just starts right doing it again. The cycle doesn't stop. I really think Mindless should have just been the first half, because it could have been a lot better. The second half is not necessarily bad, it still has quite a bit of the energy from the first half, but it does drop a little bit, and the melodies do just feel like they're just cut off so often with the slash notes that it does put a bit of a damper in Mindless's fun. No Hero Remix. So when going back to my old video to look at some old footage, I noticed my reasoning for the song being in C tier last time was pretty bad, not gonna lie. So I wanted to redo it right here. So this song is actually pretty funny. I get it looks like a joke song, but it's actually a really good song. Finn's chromatic is just, well, it's definitely the weakest in terms of his default chromatic in the mod. It still sounds really catchy, and I love the instrumental too. The flashback section is also just pretty cool, referencing the original Pibby mod, Finn mod. It's not the best thing ever, but I think it's a pretty catchy melody for the turn it is. However, the song does have two things going for it that I don't love. One, I think there are parts of the song where Boyfriend's Chromatic can get way too high-pitched, and I don't love that. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. Two, and this was more of a nuisance than is an issue, the slash notes are back, but they're really only in the last 30 seconds of the song, so I'm going to let that go. It was not really a problem, but just more of a nuisance, because at least they're put in there kind of properly, unlike in Mindless. But, yeah, this song it's good, but it just has a few small things I don't care about it. That, I guess, that's a little bit too short. I wish it was like 2.5 minutes and not 2, but, 2 minutes is alright. Oh boy, the first song of Darkness Takeover, and Twinkle has dropped so heavily for me. For it once being my favorite of Darkness Takeover, to it now sitting in the bottom spot. But why exactly? What could possibly possess me to have Twinkle as my least favorite? Well, I have a couple problems with this song, and I'm going to address the first right here and now. Monster Stewie's chromatic can go jump off a bridge and drown. This is the worst Pibby chromatic I think I've ever heard in my life. In fact, everybody around me says, oh, Nicole's chromatic from Mother's Day is worse. No, this is like 4 times worse than Nicole's, and it's not even a question. Quagmire's chromatic, for the most part, is actually pretty good. I really like Quagmire's chromatic in this mod, although I don't love his corrupted vocals in this song when he is partially corrupted. But his default chromatic, for the most part, is pretty good. One with the weakest of its 4 usages, but still pretty good here. Stewie's other corrupted chromatic is kind of in the same boat as Quagmire's corrupted chromatic, but that it being good, but not great, and I much prefer his original chromatic, but it's still pretty good. The instrumental definitely feels dangerous, which is something I've said before this once, and I'll say it again. Darkness Takeover knows how to handle its danger elements really well, the most out of the entire Big 5. Quagmire's thing is Giggity Giggity line is actually pretty funny as he shakes off the darkness because he's immune to all viruses, which I think is actually a really cool feature, not gonna lie. Unfortunately, it's ruined because Monster Stewie sings for quite a bit in this section, which, seriously, if Monster Stewie wasn't in this song, I would have this in, like, maybe even S tier, but no, it's singing B because of Monster Stewie's freaking garbage vocals. The melodies, for the most part, of the entire song are really good when Stewie isn't screaming his lungs out with his monster chromatic. Quagmire's melodies, again, are all really good. They pair super well with his chromatic. And when feeling just raining corruption in this part, this section's actually really nice because it's a nice calm before a storm moment, it feels like. Finally able to take a breather from all the chaos and darkness that's around you, as Quagmire thinks he can try and help Stewie by suctioning the darkness off of him and transferring it to his own body because, again, he thinks he's immune to this virus because he's immune to every virus that exists. And for a moment, it feels like it works, too. Stewie slowly starts becoming uncorrupted with only half his face being corrupted. People just being panicked between Stewie and Quagmire. And I really like this ending section. In fact, again, this ending section it's so good. I love it to pieces. It feels like Stewie is trying to reach out to Quagmire to tell him to please help him, but he can't help him anymore, and Stewie's just stuck this way. Twinkle really pulls the heartstrings, but the chromatics are really what hold the song back for me in their corrupted form. You know, Save the Day might be one of the most disappointing remakes I think I've ever heard an FNF song. While it's definitely better than its original counterpart, granted not by much, I definitely the song could have had a lot more potential going for it besides a few melody changes and a slightly better instrumental. The song is alright, pretty good. Like, Steven's chromatics is really good in this song. And the melodies around the middle are really catchy, and I think there's a few in the intro that I like. But I have a few problems with the song. Besides the fact it was barely changed up at all, the instrumental is just kind of weak in this song. It doesn't really do anything interesting for me. And I think the ending just overall is... yeah, it's not very good. It's fine, but it has some really catchy melodies, hence why the song is ranking in D tier. And nothing necessarily frustrates me with the song, but I don't necessarily want to return to this song either. Last Spooktober. This song is very similar to something like Kinimorto, where it has an incredible beginning, but the ending just doesn't hit for me, and the fact that its original counterpart is a lot better. I mean that. I would rather take Last Spooktober V1 any day of the week. But this song is still pretty good. For one, I really like how Skid and Pump sound in this song. They sound really good for the most part. There's not many parts I think they actually sound bad in. And the instrumental is... it's kind of rock themed, which I don't love, but for the most part, it sounds alright. The melodies in the first half are all just an absolute jam. They are really, they're just really good, not gonna lie. However, this song does have its issues. For one, I think around the halfway point, the song just loses a lot of the energy that it had in the first half, and I don't love that. Also, I don't really like how Boyfriend sounds in the song either. It's not like Familiar Levels type awful, but it's not necessarily good either. I wish they stuck with its default chromatic and not used this one. But it's not necessarily a bad set of pipes either. And I do wish there were more V1 melodies in this song, because there doesn't seem there's any at all, which is a bit of a shame, because it's only like maybe one or two probably would have sung a lot better. But they don't, which is a bit of a shame. Still, Last Spooktober V2 is still a good song, but like Kinimorto, I would rather go to its original counterpart, not gonna lie. Ready or Not, a very old song made by Jake Neutron. Just like You'll Make the Change, which I'll get to that one later. But yeah, this is pretty easily the weakest of the two. Which is a shame, because I used to actually really like this song. But I will admit, over time, it did get a little bit weaker, mostly because of two really big issues. First, the fact that the song doesn't really start up until a minute after the song begins. I don't love that, but yeah, I just don't care for it. And then there's the song's melodies. I'll be real with you guys, this song feels kind of repetitive. It doesn't really stick out to me when it's a rare original, because so many parts where they just throw in so frequently, and I don't love that. However, there are some good things about this song. For one, I really like how SpongeBob sounds. Definitely one of the best SpongeBob chromatics out there to exist. Like, it's not saying much. It's either this, or something from SpongeBob parodies, or Bikini Horror, which I've not checked out Bikini Horror, and I'm not touching SpongeBob parodies with a 10-foot pole. Boyfriend sounds pretty good here for the most part, and I really vibe with the instrumental. Yeah, I don't have much to say on Ready or Not. It's a good song, but it just has those problems. Not much else to say. I was on the fence about ranking Desolation when I started this video because this song isn't completed yet. We only have a small teaser for it. But I figured, you know what, I like the song, I'll toss it in here. This song is actually pretty good for the most part. It definitely feels like a happy vibe. Kinda like how Child's Play V3 is, but I'll get there later. But this song definitely does it. It does it a bit weaker, but it's still really good. Boyfriend, for the most part, sounds really good, as he knows how to handle their boyfriend very well. My problem with this song comes in Steven. I don't love the chromatic they're using for Pibby Apocalypse. I wish they used Pibby Corrupted chromatic, because that sounds a lot better. This one still sounds good, but it sounds like he's only half corrupted, it feels like, which is so weird. That, I guess, the song is too short for what we've got. It's not even 2 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, which I want a little bit more from this teaser, but it's not necessarily bad. It's just, it's too short, and I don't love Steven's chromatic, which kind of kills this song for me. You know what, I actually like Malware quite a bit. It's definitely a step up from Nanovirus. That's not saying much, however, but the song is really good. However, I'm going to address my biggest issue with the song right now. When the screen turns black and there's just a silhouette of the characters, I don't like that section much at all. It feels like it just drags on with the kind of dull instrumental and no interesting parts at all, which is a bit of a shame. That being said, the rest of the song is actually really good. I really like how Jenny sounds here. It's definitely a lot better than Nanovirus. Well, again, not saying much considering she was drowned out for the most part. And Boyfriend sounds pretty good. I really like his chromatic in the song. It's one of his customer ones, but it's not one of his better ones. It's more right around the middle when it comes to BF's custom chromatics. That being said, the thing I love most about Malware is this ending. Really pops off the last minute with just a constant duet between Boyfriend and Jenny, and I really like that because their chromatics are they were just made for a duet with each other. If we're going for almost a minute, that just makes it even better. It never feels boring, it never feels repetitive, it's just overall great. But the song just barely missed out on A tier, and that's solely because of the black silhouette section that really finalized it as a very high D tier. Sorry, Malware. Don't make the change. Okay, this is the other Jake Neutron song that is in the mod, and just like with Ready or Not, this one's definitely shown its age. But unlike Ready or Not, this one still maintains its A tier, although granted it's not a very high A tier. So I'll address my 2 issues of the song right off the bat. First, this intro is kind of just boring. The song doesn't really ever seem to get really good until the duets start, and speaking of which, these duets are really, really good. I love them so much in the song. The fact they're almost constant is just even better. However, the other issue I have with the song is both Steven and Spinell's chromatics. You're telling me they couldn't update the chromatics at all? That would have made you'll make the change so much better, not gonna let they use their updated chromatics for both Steven and Spinell. Although, maybe not exactly on Spinell's part, it probably would have been about the same. Speaking of Spinell, her intro is actually a bit creepy, not gonna lie. Hearing her distorted chuckle is really nice. And her just popping in, spinning that scythe is just... that's nightmare fuel. You can't tell me that's not freaking nightmare fuel. That is creepy. Her section, for the most part, is pretty good. I love it when her and Steven do it. And then when the 3 of them just start going all out. This song is really good, but it has those problems that hold it back, unfortunately.
Nothing can stop me now!
That intro of Wish Come True did not need to be 30 seconds long. Really, why is it that long? And that's probably one of the biggest issues with the song. That, and the reason the fact they're using freaking V1. You know, V2 exists, and it's a lot better, so I question the need for why they decided to put the V1 of the song when the V2 freaking exists. I'm not complaining though. V1 is still a very good song. I really like Vicky's chromatic in this song. It's very good. I think the instrumental is genuinely stellar. It really feels off the fact you're being chased and the psychotic nature that Vicky has, and I love that to pieces. However, I do have another problem with the song. I don't love what the boyfriend chromatic they're using here. I don't feel like it works going this fast. I think they should use this custom default chromatic and not this custom one, because that would have worked a lot better for the speed that boyfriend is going at. Then Timmy shows up, and Timmy's section is actually really good. A bit better than Vicky's section. I really like how his chromatic sounds. It's kind of similar to Vicky's, but it's different enough so you can tell the difference quite easily. The instrumental definitely loses a bit of its danger element, but I don't really mind that. I think the chiller vibe works around this part of the song, and the melodies here actually pop off. And Boyfriend's going a bit slow with his chromatic at some parts, so that helps his voice out a bit too. So yeah, Wish Come True V1 is a good song, but again, I wish I just used the V2 because that fixes almost every issue I had with this song. But it's still a really good song, don't get me wrong. Self-restraint. This is a bit of a tricky song to talk about, but you know what? For the most part, I really like this song. Although, I used to have it a lot higher up on my list. This was just around like middle S tier, and now it's more of a lower A tier. Mostly because of its two big problems that has. The first, and the smaller problem, corrupted boyfriend's chromatic. Why does he sound muffled? That doesn't make sense at all. Why understood the chromatic that was in Bluebald? Oh well, it's not necessarily horrible, and I can live with it. The melodies for the most part are actually really good. I like most of the melodies in this song, except for one section, but I'll get there shortly. And the instrumental is pretty simple. It's nothing spectacular, but it's simple and it gets the job done, and I quite enjoy it. However, then there's the other issue I have with this song. When we first see Girlfriend for the first time, I'm sorry, but this section is so boring. I get what it's going for. It's supposed to be like a sliver of light shining in the darkness, but after you've heard it the first time, it just gets a little bit old, not gonna lie, and it really kills Girlfriend's intro section, which kinda sucks because Corrupted Girlfriend has a really good chromatic, and I love her section overall. Her melodies are not quite as good as Corrupted Boyfriend's, but the instrumental makes up for it. It's really starting to kick up in how much I enjoy it. Also, I think it's pretty cool. The fact you can't shoot Girlfriend in this section, because Boyfriend won't shoot the love of his life, no matter how twisted and darkness she's become. I just find that a cool concept. Then there's that little pause, but then Corrupted Girlfriend starts singing again. This is what I thought the first time they did this. This is what it should have been, because the melody here is actually really good, while the first one wasn't. And then we get a duet with Corrupted Boyfriend and Corrupted GF, and you gotta admit, this section just pops off. The two have such good synergy with each other, and I think the instrumental's finally starting to really ramp up. This ending is it's just so amazing. This song could be S tier again if it wasn't for Corrupted Boyfriend and Corrupted GF's intro sounding either mid or bad. It was so close, but it just missed the mark. A Skid Steamboat. Okay. This is a pretty interesting song for the most part. I really like this song, except it has a few massive issues, which I'm gonna address massive issue number 1. Why is this song almost 6 minutes? That doesn't make sense. Seriously, I've gotten better at not complaining about song lengths, but this draws the line. I just love good things going for it. For one, I really like how Mickey's chromatic sounds. These are the weakest of the 3 voices in the song, but it's still pretty good. The instrumental most of the way through is simple, but it's really well done. I'm going to give it massive praise. Simple, and it just gets the job done. Boyfriend's chromatic is pretty good, but the thing that really sticks out about Rusted Steamboat is the melodies. For it being almost 6 minutes, the melodies for the most part are really good. Mickey's phase then ends, and we get Minnie's phase, who probably has not only my favorite chromatic, but also my favorite phase in the entire song. Her voice is just so smooth, and unlike Mickey's, where it took a bit to get used to at that kind of obnoxious first turn, Minnie's chromatic just sounds really good the entire way through. The instrument doesn't really change up all that much, and her melodies sound really good, like generally amazing. So, what's the other issue with Rusted Steam that you're probably asking? Well, you see, after Mickey plays what is supposed to be his final turn, which sounds really good though, like that's just an amazing melody right there. The song supposedly ends, but it's a faked out ending, which this leads into Pete's section, and look, I don't understand why they didn't cut Pete's section into a completely different song. The tone just completely shifts around, take more of a dark and ominous tone for this song, which, you know what, is actually not half bad. Pete's chromatic is really good, and I love how frantic the melodies get around here. And the instrumental just, again, sounds really good. My problem is that it just drags on for too long. It's so boring after like 2 minutes of listening to it. It just feels like it never stops, and it drags on. And it gets so annoying after a while. If they cut Pete's section to a different song, I could have this song in maybe even S tier, but no, Pete's killing it. Something funny I noticed about Darkness Takeover recently. Besides 2 songs in the OST, everything in the OST has once been my favorite song in it. Death Lives is no exception. I used to have this song in first, just like Twinkle, but now they're both bottom 2. So what's Death Lives' problem, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you after I run through the things I like about this song. For one, this song definitely feels like a pretty nice chase theme. Nothing special, but nothing necessarily bad either. Peter's chromatic in the song is probably the weakest in the entire mod here, but it's still a really good chromatic. The same can also be said for Boyfriend, but Boyfriend only sings in 2 songs this mod, so that's not saying all that much. The instrumental is very good, nothing bad with it, but nothing really amazing with it either. So what's wrong with this song? Well, I can answer that quite easily. This pop-off is incredibly overrated. I'm sorry, but this drags on for way longer than it needs to. It's like over 30 seconds of the exact same pop-off over and over and over again. And will it please freaking calm down? I don't want to hear the same hold notes for over half a minute. It drags the song on for so long, and it's what's really killing Death Lives for me, because right after it, the song goes right back into the amazingness that it was earlier. But I don't know, the pop-off, well, it's good, it just kills so much of my enjoyment. I think it's kind of overrated, which really puts a bit of a damper in Death Lives' enjoyment, but you know what, this song is still really good, and I do like coming back to it. I'll say it once, and I'll say it 1,000 times if I have to. My old Pibby Apocalypse video was absolute hot trash. And what was Retcon's reason, you're probably asking? I didn't like Gumball and I thought Darwin shouldn't have sang. What the actual hell was that take? That was pure filth. I like Retcon a lot more nowadays. Although I do have a bit of an issue with this song, and no, it's not Gumball or Darwin. Surprisingly enough, it's actually Boyfriend. I don't love his chromatic in this song. It's not, like, bad or anything, but it's not necessarily good either. It's just the chromatic I think is there, and it's fine. Gumball sounds really good in this song. Definitely a lot better than it was in Child's Play, but he just doesn't sound quite as strong as he does in My Amazing World or Forgotten World, which is a little bit of a shame, but it's pretty alright, not gonna lie. The instrumental definitely feels a bit chaotic. Well, I don't want to say chaotic, more like this. It's kind of hard to explain how I feel about the instrumental. I guess maybe chaotic is the good word for it. The melodies are all really good, especially on Gumball's side. I love Gumball's melodies to pieces. Boyfriend's melodies are pretty good too. Nothing stellar, but nothing bad either. And Darwin has some really good sections too. He just jumps into the song kind of random, which isn't the best thing ever, but it's not horrible, and he does sound really good in the song. I just wish he got a little bit more screen time than I believe the last 40 seconds of the song. Like, put him more in the middle, and I'd like the song a lot more. You know, I don't really know why Terminated exists when Overworked was a song in V1, and the song is very similar to Overworked, but you know what? They're about on the same level, so I'm not really complaining all that much. I quite like Terminated, although if I had any complaints with this song, which I'm just going to address right now, I don't love how Boyfriend sounds. Similar to was in Retcon, well, not the same level of his voice, but just like how much I enjoy his voice. It's fine, nothing great, but nothing bad either. Mordecai sounds pretty good. I don't really watch regular shows, so I'm not exactly sure how Mordecai sounds, but I think he sounds pretty good here. The instrumental and the melodies, though, both rock. I love them to pieces. They're just stellar. They're pretty similar actually to Overworked, so that's a plus considering I loved Overworked's melodies and its instrumentals, so thumbs up to you, Terminated. I just don't think I'll put you any higher because I don't love your Boyfriend voice. Sorry. Alright, this is the first of the two songs from Darkness Takeover that have never really ever been first place for me. Ruined Family is a good song, it's a really good song, but I've just always felt like it lacks the potential and the energy to be first place. I was thinking I don't like this song. No, the song is it's actually really good. Both of the corrupted vocals in Peter and Ryan both sound just genuinely amazing, especially Peter's. I really like his corrupted chromatic in this song. His default chromatic is pretty good, although I will be real, it's probably the weakest usage of it in the entire mod, mostly because it's only for about 3/5 of the song, and I don't love how slow it sounds in the beginning. Stewie's chromatic is good because it's not corrupted. I swear that corrupted vocals were so bad for Stewie. I really did not like those. Lois jumps in the song, although I don't exactly know why she jumps in the song and not... Why just Lois? Why not Peter? Why not Chris and Meg? Speaking of, where are Chris and Meg? What, did they get corrupted when Peter got corrupted? That doesn't make sense. I'm asking questions now. Thanks, Dark Room. You're making me ask questions now. Anyway, Lois sounds actually really good for the most part, and then she and Stewie go away, leaving just a final pop-off between Ryan and Peter, even though it's just like one turn between the two of them. Yeah, like I said, nothing special about Ruined Family. It's a really good song, don't get me wrong, but it never has been first, and I doubt it ever will be. Sorry. Something I've noticed about Blessed by Swords is the fact that it doesn't ever get talked about. Like, ever. Out of the 9 songs in Pibby Apocalypse, well, 12 even count the teasers, this and Desolation get, like, 0 discussion at all. And I don't quite understand why it gets no talk at all. Because this song is actually really good. Although I'm gonna address my issue right now, this song is way too short. I wish it was like 2.5 minutes and not 2, but you know, it's not the worst thing ever. Finn's chromatic in the song is very good. Probably the weakest use of his default chromatic, but it still sounds really good. Pibby's voice is pretty strong in this song. She only sings in a few songs in Pibby Apocalypse. What she does sing, and she does sound really good in. The instrumental, which I apologize for calling empty and boring last time, is actually really good for the most part. And when Finn and Pibby duet, I think that also sounds really good. My problem is this song is too short, and I don't love the ending. It's fine, but it's just not my thing. If there's any song from Pibby Corrupted that needed an update, it was Gummy Substance. The V1 of this song was so unbelievably atrocious. It would rank below Spooked. That's how much I didn't like the V1. That's how absolute god-awful it was. V2, so much better. For one, Princess Bubblegum's chromatic is actually pretty good now. It's still the weakest of the 3 between her, Finn, and Jake, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because she still does sound pretty alright. The instrumental is pretty simple for the most part, nothing necessarily bad, nothing I point at and say, oh, this is great. The thing I love most about the song, though, are the melodies, especially the duet that happens right around the middle section, the one that goes on for about, I think about a little bit over 20 seconds. It just sounds so nice and smooth, and I really like how Bubblegum and BF sound when they're duetting. They've got such good synergy with each other. But that's not even talking about the best part of the song. The ominous black and white section. This section right here is probably one of the most unnerving sections in all of Pibby Corrupted, and I'm not going to take that back. It also sounds the best, too. I really like how the instrumental gets here, really kicks up steam a lot, and I wish the instrumental kind of stuck with it the entire way through. Shame it's so short, but the song afterwards just sounds amazing. In fact, the song is really close to S tier, but I just don't really feel like it ever has anything that could make it to S tier besides the middle and the ending. And I guess it just never has felt S tier material, not gonna lie. Okay, you know, I'll be the first to admit, I think Airborne is a wee bit, yeah, it's overrated. A lot of people call this the best in Darkness Takeover, and I don't think so. No, I don't. And yes, while the song used to be my favorite, over time, I think it's just gotten substantially weaker. Although the song does have quite a few things that I enjoy about it. For one, I really like how Joe sounds. Joe has my second favorite chromatic in the mod, right behind Quagmire, but he does sound a lot better than Quagmire does in the song when Quagmire isn't corrupted, and I'll get to Quagmire's corrupted vocals later. Peter sounds pretty good for the most part. Not my favorite use of Peter's voice, but definitely better than it was in Root and Family and Death Lives, so that's pretty good. Cleveland is a little bit weak. I definitely prefer usage in Fashion Values, both corrupted and uncorrupted, but it still sounds pretty good for the most part. Rallo's voice, I don't really feel like Rallo's voice fits him all that much, but I'm going to make an exception because he is corrupted, and that does change up your voice a little bit, so I'll make a pass. And then Quagmire fully starts getting corrupted, which I actually find to be a cool detail, because Quagmire is supposed to be immune to all viruses, but this one virus just overtook his body. His voice is alright. I don't love the effect they put on it. It still sounds pretty good for the most part. It's still pretty much like Quagmire, but it's not the absolute greatest ever. And then Quagmire is taken away, consumed by the very darkness that he himself tried to control. As only Cleveland, Peter, and Joe are left to reminisce their fallen friend. So many of them have fallen to this darkness. So few have escaped. They think maybe they can save their friend. Just like they've saved Peter, like they've saved Cleveland, like they've saved Stewie. And as Rallo sings his final turn, and as the three drunken trio pops off one last time, corrupted Quagmire shows himself, and this is where I have problems with the song. I hate how corrupted Quagmire sounds. It's not as bad as corrupted Stewie's vocals, his monster voice, but it still sounds pretty bad, and I don't love how this ending sounds either. It's supposed to sound like you're in danger, but I don't think it really gives off the danger vibes that it should, and this ending is really what's killing Airborne from ranking any higher. It was so close. Airborne, you were on the right track, but the second corrupted Quagmire shows up, it just fell away. I'll just say it right now. House of Mouse has an incredible feeling to the entire song. The entire way through. I love the tone this song gives out. It feels like you're stuck in a mucky swamp and your ship has just been incapacitated by weeds. And I love that feeling that the song gives out. So the main reason the song is actually ranking an S tier, not gonna lie. Because, okay, time my problem with this song. This song is way too long. Seriously, why are the Mickey songs the longest in the mod. And yes, I checked. Both Mickey songs are the longest in the mod. And I don't understand why exactly. Oh well. Boyfriend's Chromaticness song is pretty good for the most part. Definitely the weakest of the 4 vocals, but he does sound pretty good. Pibby's Chromatic, also this is the only song Pibby sings in Pibby Corrupted, sounds genuinely stellar. I love her voice. She sounds like a frightened little child just tossed into a world that's too big for her, and I really like that. She hasn't embraced her warrior personality yet. This might actually be my favorite Pibby Corrupted Chromatic out there. Sorry, not Pibby Corrupted, Pibby voice in general. Sorry, my doll, but you don't come close to this. Mickey's Chromatic is very good for the most part. Definitely a lot better than it was in Rusted Steamboat by quite a bit, but it still sounds pretty good. Minnie's voice is a bit similar to Pibby's at times, which I think is a little bit strange, not gonna lie. Like, why do they sound so similar? I can make them out for the most part, but in the first few turns, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between Minnie and Pibby. It's not bad, it just confuses me. The notes, for the most part, are just genuinely amazing, although they can feel a bit dragged out after the 3.5 minute mark, which is kind of where I start to lose interest in the song, and again, the length is kind of what's killing the song from ranking any higher, which sucks because I really like House of Mouse. If it was just like 4 minutes, I would probably put the song a lot higher up in S tier, but it unfortunately just barely misses it.
Allow me to introduce myself. Hi everyone, I'm Bass. And, let's just say I'm the type of person to just kind of walk into guest segments, mostly in ranking vids. I'm the type of guy to do that, because, well, I think it's fun. And I want people to hear my opinions on some of these. Oh yeah, and, if you're wondering why I haven't been in a guest segment on this channel for a while, let's just say I missed a few, and, yeah. I also want to say that, the last one I did was, that was pretty terrible. But, if you want to see some really good takes of mine, you can just watch, Harry's videos. So, yeah. But, what song am I talking about today? Oh. Black Mark. This song is very, let's say, unique. Before I started off, I want to say, I really like the art style in this one. Like, all the designs are great, the environment is very unique. And, honestly, not much to say about it other than I think it's just a pretty good song. But, let's just get into it. I really like the vocals for, okay, apparently in the wiki, this is not Boyfriend, but, I'm just gonna call him that. Boyfriend sounds very interesting in this song. It's a Boyfriend chromatic I really like, and, I don't mind how it sounds. And then there's... who is that again? Give me a moment. Dr. Livesey? That's his name? Alright. So, Dr. Livesey, honestly, I really like how he sounds. Especially when he does those high notes. He sounds very aggressive. Almost, like, leaderish, and I like it. And, then there's the tone. Honestly, this kind of feels like something you'd hear in, like, a fighting game, honestly. And, I wouldn't exactly say this is also what give out the pirate theme for this. But, it does what it achieves, and I think it's just alright. Oh yeah, and, despite of my praises for this song, I do have a few issues with this song. I don't really think this tone fits the scene. It should have felt more like this very dark tone, like the beginning. Like, the beginning has this intro with the theme, and feels more dark, and then it just straight up goes to just basic FNF song, is what I'm trying to say. If I were to recreate this song, I would have at least, like, maybe just stick with the tone from the beginning, and make it a bit more darker. Like, this is the Pibby darkness we're talking about, of course. But hey, I can accept for what this song is. I still think it's really good, it's just kind of a Make-A-Wish thing. And, my last issue with this song is, I kind of wish this song was longer. Okay, this is gonna sound weird, but I know it's 2 minutes, but it feels like it's like a minute long. It feels a minute, but it's not, and it's strange. Like, it's very, very strange in my eyes. But, I can at least accept for what the song is. Overall, this is like a solid A-tier song. If you like it, then good for you.
Almost at the top 20, and you know what? I quite enjoy Treasure Island, for the most part. This song, again, for the most part, is just genuinely incredible. I love how Ivasa Kasha, I think I'm saying that, right? I love those chromatic sounds. I know it's just Boyfriend's voice, but it's used so well here that I just adore it to pieces. Dr. Livesey's chromatic, that's the guy on the left, by the way, his vocals are also incredible. They're definitely better than they were in Black Mark. Although I didn't love the performance in Black Mark, it still sounded really good here, but this was just the final touch he needed. The entire instrumental just feels like a pirate theme, and little spoilers for my Flavor Break video, but I love pirate-themed instrumentals. Combined with their own rock, it just sounds great. The melodies are genuinely incredible in the first half, and again, so is the instrumental. The fact that I'm not ranking this song higher is because I just don't really feel like the ending of this song, the last minute or so, doesn't carry the same energy that the first 2 minutes did, which is a bit of a shame, but it still sounds really good. Hence why this song is ranking as high as it is. I really like Treasure Island, it just didn't have the push that the other 21 songs did, which again is unfortunately a shame because I really like Treasure Island, it wasn't ever gonna rank any higher than this. But hey, this song and Black Mark do switch around a lot, which is saying a big thing how much I also like Black Mark. If there was any song from V1 that didn't really need much of a change, it was probably Corrupted Hero. I only had 2 things I disliked about the original Corrupted Hero, and this V2 of the song fixes up the first of those problems. For just everything I love about the song, for starters, this instrumental, which is the first of the problems I didn't like, is catchy as all hell. It's simple, but it's catchy. Boyfriend sounds really good in this song, nothing stellar, but he does sound very good the entire way through, and all the melodies are just absolutely incredible the entire way through. I love how all of these melodies are coming from Boyfriend, at least. Yeah, this leads to my problem with the song. Why did they change Finn's voice? It's not necessarily bad, per se, but I don't vibe with it like I do with In Together Forever and Corrupted Hero Smoke Cannon Mix, which is a shame because that's really what was holding the song back from ranking any higher in my personal opinion, because of Finn's chromatic just sounded a lot like garbled noise after a while, although whenever he's doing with BF, it's pretty good, not gonna lie. But when he's doing it on its own, it just does not sound the greatest. This song right here was the main reason I wanted to do this ultimate Pibby ranking in the first place. Because my old takes on suffering siblings were so unbelievably shit. Like, you wanna know why I didn't like the song? I thought it was a poor excuse for what V3 gave out. What the actual fuck was that reasoning? That was just... what idiot would use that for a reasoning for not liking suffering siblings? I have long since outgrown that train of thought, and I now actually really enjoy this song. For one, and it's one of my biggest pauses the entire way through, the instrumental of the song absolutely rocks. This is probably my favorite or second favorite instrumental from all the Pibby Apocalypse, and it's generally not even a question. The melodies, for the most part, are just absolutely incredible. They pop off so well. I love the chaotic and frantic energy they give off, also just in a tone of danger. Seriously, this song here is the best danger element of the entire mod. I'm not going to take that back. It sounds so damn good. Finn's voice, for the most part, is probably the second best that was in the mod. It's not better than Come Along With Me, but it's a damn close runner-up. The same can be said for Jake, although Jake does only sing in 2 songs, so him being a runner-up is unfortunately also him being last place in terms of his chromatic. Boyfriend sounds really good the entire way through when he sings, especially when he duets with Jake and Finn. I love his duet performance in this song. It just sounds so stellar, and he's got such good synergy with the brothers. Then Pibby jumps in after a very slow motif from Jake. Pibby's chromatic in the song is pretty good. I think it's on the same level it was in Blessed by Swords, and I really like how the song just kind of cools down the danger element to show the danger and fear that Pibby is feeling for, just kicks right back up with that element. And I Really like how that sounds. Unfortunately, the first of the song's problems comes in the weapon part. I really hate how Boyfriend's gunshots sound here. His sword notes are actually pretty good, but the gunshot notes are just... they sound so unbelievably not fun to listen to, and it really is killing the song for the most part. Although I do have another issue with this song. After Pibby finally grows a pair of balls and finally decides time to kick the hell up, she starts duetting with Finn and Jake, and this is another problem with the song. Pibby can't duet with anybody in the song, and that's a shame, because whenever she does, it's just drowned out or it doesn't mesh well. When she knows with Boyfriend, it doesn't mesh well. Now she's doing with the brothers, she's getting drowned out, which really kills every time she duets, which kind of makes it hard for me to find a favorite part of this song whenever Pibby isn't duetting. So yeah, that's not necessarily fun. But yeah, I want to say I was way too harsh on this song, and I apologize for the poor entry I gave it last time. Suffering Siblings is just an amazing song, but it does have those small gripes with it. Before I go explaining why this song's not ranked in the top 10 anymore, and probably never will, I want to go ahead and say this. This intro of the song is genuinely beautiful. The first 45 seconds of Forgotten World is probably the best part of the entire song. No, it's the best part of the entire mod. And that's not even a question. Okay, maybe it's a bit tied with My Amazing World's pop-off, but it's a very close tie. And now time to explain why this song isn't ranking nearly as high as it once was, and why it will never be SS again. For one, Gumball's chromatic in the song is at its second best here. It's not quite his best, but it still sounds absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for his brothers. Darwin's chromatic just gets so high-pitched at so many points, and I don't like it when chromatics do that. I really like when they're this high-pitched, because it makes me think Darwin's a girl. Like, I actually thought Darwin was a girl when I first checked out this mod. That generally isn't a joke, by the way. I actually thought that way. Then there's this little cutscene part. Well, actually, it was scrapped cutscene, if I remember correctly, which I'm kind of sad they scrapped it, because it actually has some really good dialogue, and it showed that Gumball maybe had a chance to escape this, but he chose this darkness, and we can see the fear as Darwin slowly becomes corrupted. And this duet section right here absolutely pops off. I love this duet section. It's not quite as good as the intro melody, but it's damn close second place. It sounds really good. I love how the high-pitched from Darwin's voice and the more deeper chromatic for Gumball here, they pair super well together. I really love that. The few melodies after this aren't really incredible, they're not really necessarily amazing, but they're pretty good for the most part. Unfortunately, right after those melodies end is generally where I think the song should have called it quits for the day, and doesn't, and it just kind of is a loop background to the intro melody, but it doesn't sound as good as it did in the intro, because they're using double notes at times, and I don't like they're using double notes for a couple of those. It doesn't work, and the duet on the old notes thing doesn't work either, and as I've said this before, I don't think the ending should have been dragged on with the black empty void for this long, and it really kills Forgotten World. I don't love the song as much as I used to. it's unfortunately a shame, but this song's never making it back to SS. You guys ever get that feeling when you don't know whether like the original of a song more or the new version of it? I get that feeling all the time with Together Forever's updated version. Because I really like this version, I do. But I also love the original. Like, I don't know which one is better, to be honest. For a long time as original, we're talking about this version. And this version is just overall amazing. It took the original's energy and just turned up at 10. While facing quite a few issues I had with it too. For one, I love how Jake sounds in this mod. A lot better than it is in Pibby Apocalypse, but even then it's still pretty close. They both still sound just absolutely stellar. The melodies coming from Finn are also just genuinely stellar. Seriously, I love all of Finn's melodies here. Boyfriend's chromatic in this song is just also very good. I'm kinda sad they didn't make Pibby's theme because that would have actually been perfect, although in that case probably made his song sound too similar to some like Suffering Siblings, and I don't think they wanted to do that. So that's understandable. The instrumental for the most part is pretty simple, but it does get its job done quite well, and I think it fits the tone of the song quite nice. Now time for my issue with the song, or issues to be honest. The first issue is what's called the yin-yang problem. Remember I said in Hard-Headed from Song 7 Symphonies that both Scratch and Grounder had problems that others carried for, but those problems were still there? Kinda similar problem here, coming from both brothers. Jake, you see, has a very good chromatic, but for the most part he's got the weaker melodies. Meanwhile, Finn has the stronger melodies, but his chromatic is a lot worse. Granted, his chromatic isn't like corrupted hero levels bad, but it still does not sound nearly as good as Jake's or Boyfriend's. And they took the best part of the original and they kinda just made it weaker, the part playing out right now. They took this part that I used to love and they just made it a lot worse, and I don't love that. At least they didn't make it repetitive like it was in the original, so that's something. But the problem is, whenever I listen to a melody, it either is ruined by Finn's voice, or it's sometimes just good coming from Jake's chromatic. All that being said, there are exceptions to this rule, because there are times when Jake has an incredible melody, or Finn just absolutely pops off, hence why a song is ranked as high as it is, but because of the yin-yang problem, I can't rank the song any higher. This song doesn't really give off Pibby vibes, but you know what? I am completely fine with that. I'll Be Fine to me isn't just a song about darkness and Pibby virus. It's a song about your own inner demons. This song really shows how Steven was feeling in Steven Universe Future, and I love that feeling it gives out the entire way through. I think it's just perfect. Speaking of Steven, his chromatic is very good in this song. It's probably its third best use in the entire mod, with the only two better uses being the two songs that we have left for Steven. And then there's Spinel. So Spinel actually got an updated chromatic in this mod, which was a lot better than the filth we got in My Friends. which that song would also rank in E tier, or at the highest, a very low D tier. Her new voice is pretty alright. It's not better than Steven's or Boyfriend's, but I still think it sounds very good. And then there's the part where everything just goes dark. It's mostly the silhouettes of the characters. I love this part so much. It really shows Steven's inner struggle with himself. His mind clashing with his body. Darkness versus light. And I love this, as Spinell's just fully embraced the shadows. One side against another. It just sounds so beautiful the entire way through. And then when it ends, the song somehow goes from amazing to incredible. It really shows that Steven's trying to keep his personality together, while also having this just inner feelings inside of him. And I love that feeling the song gives out in this middle section. And this part which absolutely pops the hell off. Although if I have any issues with this song, which I'm just going to address right now. For one, I do think Spinell's chromatic is a little bit weak at times. That's just something I've made clear. And as much like the instrumental, it doesn't ever really change up too often when it's not in the flashback section. Speaking of the other flashback section, if you're not at least shedding one tear to this or feeling any sympathy to Steven or Spinell, I question how you have emotions. This part is genuinely heartbreaking, showing everything Steven's gone through over the years. All the pain he's felt, and Spinell is no different. Abandoned by Pink Diamond, the one who she thought was her friend, her best friend, just abandoned forever. She tries to take her revenge out on her friends and family. It really it hits you right in the heartstrings. And what comes right after that just absolutely pops off. Well, not quite as hard as it did earlier, it still sounds just really good. I really like how Steven and Spinell sound like duet. It's probably my favorite part. Although I don't think the last silhouette section was absolutely needed. It could have ended right there. They didn't need to throw us in again, but still. This song is just amazing, but it does have those problems. Out of the 3 original songs from Darkness Takeover, that being A Family Guy, Rootin' Family, and Airborne, A Family Guy V2 is probably the one I come back to the most often, because for starters, it's aged very well. For this one being almost 4 years old, you really can't even tell. It still absolutely pops off to this day. The one thing to love about this song is the fact that it really gives it that you're in danger. Probably one of the best of the entire mod. Boyfriend was in his corner with only a dog and a baby behind him. He goes and has to protect them from their infected father. Speaking of their father, Peter sounds probably at his best in his corrupted form here. Well, second best technically, but he still sounds just overall amazing. Boyfriend's chromatic isn't the best thing ever, but it's used well enough, so I'm gonna give it a pass. Stewie's chromatic, on the contrary, is making up for Boyfriend's performance. His chromatic is the best in the entire mod here, and it's genuinely not even a question. I love how his voice sounds. And then there's Brian. Look, Brian's killing the song for me. I hate how his chromatic sounds. It just sounds so gravelly. Yeah, I'll go with that word. I don't like how it sounds. It doesn't really sound like what Brian actually sounds like, which is a shame because almost every Darkness Takeover character sounds exactly like their original counterpart. But Brian just doesn't, which is weird. Lois, Meg, and Chris all sound really good. My favorite definitely being Lois when she sings, but Chris and Meg do both sound very good. And then this part happens where Boyfriend is just chucked away. And at first I thought he was like consumed by the darkness when the mod first came out. I don't know if he was just chucked outside, but that's just kind of cool. Then Lois starts popping off. As I said before, Lois has a really good chromatic. Not quite as good as Peter's, but her melodies do pop off. Unfortunately, this is also where I think Brian sounds at his weakest in the song. Thank goodness he has Stewie to back him up, but yeah, Brian's really killing the song for me. Like, I don't enjoy his chromatic very often. It doesn't sound good to me. Oh, the one problem with the song, the ending of the song with the one of us is really cool. It just sends shivers down your spine. Not quite as much as it does in the V3, but I'll get to the V3 later. So yeah, this song is really good. It's amazing even, but it has that problem. If you were to ask me an FNF song that I think has aged incredibly well, while also not being an SS, my first reaction would be to go to Blue Balled. Or Gunshot, but I think Blue Balled has just slightly aged better for me, even though it's ranked a little bit lower. So I really, really enjoyed Blue Balled. For it being over 4 years old, I think it's had so much time to grow old and stale, and it has not. I adore almost everything about this song, starting with this instrumental. I love how it feels like you would hear in the base game, but also just distorted in a way, and I think that's a perfect representation of how Boyfriend sounds in the song when he's going into his faker. Speaking of Boyfriend, his chromatic in the song is his older voice, which I kind of prefer if it was an updated chromatic, but it still sounds just overall amazing. Corrupted Boyfriend's chromatic is on the same level. A bit of an update would have been nice to it, but I definitely prefer his old voice over the new one that we got in the other song with Corrupted Boyfriend, which I'm blanking on the name right now, I'm an idiot. The melodies, for the most part, are very good. Nothing bad at all. They all just sound genuinely amazing, except in the ending. I don't enjoy the ending melodies of the song much at all, because they kind of just what we heard earlier in the song, but they just sound a bit weaker, and that kind of kills my enjoyment of the ending, not gonna lie. I wish it ended a bit stronger. We'll be like a duet between the two, but we don't get that, and that's a little bit of a shame. Well, that being said, one thing I want to point on the song, I love how Corrupted Boyfriend sounds when he laughs. He just sounds so ominous and haunting, and it just sounds really good. won't find two closer S tiers closer together than Blue Balled and Gunshot. For being made by literally the same person, having almost the exact same release date, not the exact same release day, these two have always been neck and neck, which one I like more. Even more than last Spooktober recently, which is a pretty big shock. But Gunshot did barely beat out Blue Ball. That's solely because, as much as I like Corrupted Boyfriend's chromatic, Corrupted Pico just has probably my second favorite chromatic from the entirety of Pibby Corrupted, only falling short of Steven's voice, but still, Corrupted Pico's voice is very good in this song. The instrumental feels like an actual Pico song. You would hear something in week 3, and I really like that. I feel like the best elements of Pico, feeling nice and bland, they threw them all together to make Gunshot, and I really like that. The melodies absolutely pop off for the most part, especially around in the middle. I really love the middle's melodies. They're just genuinely stellar. In fact, the only reason I'm bringing this song any higher is just like Blue Ball. I think the ending could have been just a little bit stronger for Gunshot, which is kind of funny because how similar those two songs are, but at the very end of the day, I think Corrupted Pico's voice is slightly better than Corrupted Boyfriend's, hence why Gunshot ranks higher for me. Wow, I guess Schoolhouse Massacre really massacred the other 5 base game songs. Am I right? Yeah, I really like this song. It's easily the best out of the main 6 base game songs from this mod, and it's really not even a question. For one, I adore how Pico sounds in the song. I'll say it before and I'll say it again, he has the second best chromatic in this mod. This is easily my favorite usage of it here, even though he only sings in 2 songs. I love how you can hear Daddy Dearest's voice echoing off it sometimes. I think that's really good. I also like how Boyfriend sounds here. Nothing special added to his voice, but it just sounds genuinely amazing, and his pop-off absolutely hits. It's so damn good. I love it so much. The duet synergy between the two, which is absolutely perfect between Boyfriend and Pico. So why is the song not ranking higher? Take a freaking guess. Because once again, the ending of this song just does not hit the mark for me. Seriously, what is with the last 3 songs not having a good ending? Or is not a strong ending to rank any higher than what it is? What went wrong? But still, this song is amazing. Also, one thing I want to mention is that I think this song kind of feels like an encore song to Gunshot sometimes. It doesn't give all the energy though it's not an encore song. It never has been confirmed to be one, but it gives me that feeling, you know? This song probably hurts the most not to put it in the top 10 because Fashion Values was probably the song that stayed my favorite for probably the longest time frame besides what is now currently my favorite in Darkness Takeover because Oh my god, I love almost everything about this song. For one, Quagmire's in, so it's obviously going to sound good at the bare minimum because Quagmire has the best chromatic in the entire mod, and I refuse to believe otherwise. Cleveland's vocals in the song, both uncorrupted and corrupted, both sound amazing. In fact, Cleveland probably has one of my favorite sets of corrupted chromatics from the mod, if not my favorite in general. Joe sounds pretty good in this song, although he doesn't sing nearly as much as Quagmire does. I'm not really against that because Quagmire has better, but Joe is definitely near that level as Quagmire in the song. Reteb's voice is where I start having problems. I don't love how Reteb sounds here. It's fine, but it doesn't sound anything like Peter or like an actual would hear from a corrupted chromatic, which is a bit strange, but not necessarily bad. And then this part right here happens, with all four of them going now with Quagmire just shooting his shotgun at points. You see, this works for a weapon sound effect. Hey, Mindless, are you listening? Get some freaking inspiration for your weapon effects. But after this pop-up happened, which also just sounds genuinely stellar and has never once grown old, unlike in Death Lives, it's just a solo with Cleveland for a little bit. As he says Cleveland Brown, Cleveland Brown, Cleveland Brown, as the other Cleveland shows up and he finally gets control of his body back, breaking free of the darkness, as both Joe and Quagmire show up again, trying to save Reteb from his fate. Yeah, he's evil, but nobody deserves to fall to this darkness, this shadow that's overtaking Quahog. And they pop off, and I still can't hear Reteb. Fun. But that's not really a bad thing because the three bros do sound really good altogether, so I don't mind not being able to hear Reteb. And then this ending happens, which is Quagmire by himself, as a little corrupted Stewie shows up. This section's actually pretty neat. It's not like super memorable or anything, but it's a nice lead to Twinkle, and it's really good. This song was so close to top 10, but Reteb killed it. So, little funny story with Brotherly Love the first time I checked out this mod. I listened to the first half of it, and I called it a day, and just threw it in A tier. Yeah, I'm really not proud of that original video. I'm probably gonna private it when this video's done, just to be safe. But, yeah, I really like Brotherly Love nowadays. Now I have a chance to listen to the entire thing. I don't just think it's repetitive anymore, and it just, quote-unquote, blew all its energy in the first minute. Because there's plenty of energy in the end. In fact, they didn't use all that much into the intro. Jake's chromatic in the song is just genuinely stellar. It's not quite as good as the one used in Pibby Corrupted, but they're almost on the same level. This one's just a tad bit weaker. Boyfriend's chromatic is a little bit high-pitched, which I'll be honest with you, that's keeping the song down from ranking any higher. Although, that being said, the instrumental and the melodies in the song are absolute freaking bangers, especially when they're coming from Jake's side. I love all of Jake's melodies. They are all just incredible and stellar, and they work so well, especially when there's double notes and whole notes. Those sound the best. Boyfriend, again, doesn't sound the absolute best, but his melodies do sound, actually pretty good. They're not bad, they just aren't the best thing ever with his chromatic, which again is killing this song for me. Well, that being said, the ending of this song with almost a constant duet between Boyfriend and Jake absolutely pops off, and what makes me love this song so much, and geez, why didn't I give this song more of a chance the first time I listened to it? Why did I listen to the first half and call it a day? This song is so good, but it wasn't being out the remaining 9 songs. This is gonna get me murdered, but, you guys remember how I said back in Root and Family that there was one other song besides it that never ever made it to first place? Yeah, this is that other song. Look, as much as I like a Family Guy V3, seriously, I love this song so much. It doesn't have the push to become SS, and that's really unfortunate, because this song starts off just absolutely amazing. I really like how Peter sounds in this song. It's so much better than his old chromatic, even though it's not really all that different, it's just so much better. I also love how Boyfriend sounds in this song too. Again, I don't really know if it's chromatic, but it just sounds so damn good, and I love it to pieces. And then as the darkness slowly goes away, we see the full form of corrupted Peter, and am I the only one who was actually disturbed by this image? This is creepy. I don't need to see all that blood on him, but yeah, this section right here absolutely pops off. I love the duets between Peter and Boyfriend, even though it's kind of short, it just sounds absolutely amazing. As both Stewie and Brian show up and section happens. It sounds really good here, and just seeing Peter in this state as the rest of the family slowly mutates out of him and Boyfriend looks at them in fear. It's disturbing, and it's so good. Speaking of the Griffin, let's talk about their chromatics. Lois probably is my favorite one out of all of them, with Stewie having a very close second. I really like how Lois' chromatic sounds though. Chris and Meg both sound genuinely amazing. I think Chris has the slightly better chromatic, but it does switch with me every now and then. And the instrumental in this section absolutely pops the hell off. I love the danger tone it gives out. So much better than it was in the original Family Guy, and I love that. So, what holds the song back for me? What could it possibly be? Look, I hate to say it, but even though his chromatic was made a lot better, and I mean a lot better in the V3, I still don't love how Brian sounds. It's not great anymore, he can do solos by himself now so much better, but it does not sound my favorite, and it's just good compared to the others either sounding incredible or just amazing, and that really hurts. But it's not really sure how those songs, but it does kind of start and stop a little bit too often, but that's only a massive issue on its own. It still sounds pretty decent with the instrumental and the pausing. Then Boyfriend's chucked out the window and Lois just pops off. Seriously, I love how Lois sounds in this song. She sounds so damn good, and when Stewie and Brian are also duetting, I love that too. Except Brian can't really do it with anybody else but Stewie either, which is kind of similar to what Pibby had in Suffering Siblings. And then, right near the end, comes probably the most ominous section in the entire Big Five, with Peter just saying, "One of us," constantly, with all the members of the family glitching out behind him, and we slowly see Brian getting corrupted. This part is chilling, and it is haunting, and it is incredible, and this song is so close to SS, and it was so close, but Brian just didn't have the juice. Yes, my favorite of the mod isn't a Family Guy V3, or Twinkle, or Airborne, or anything else you guys probably were expecting. It's Final Fight. Yeah, I'm gonna say right now, this song is an underrated gemstone. It gets 0, and I mean 0 talk in the Darkness Takeover community. 0. Zip. Nada. None. And I really don't get why not. This song is just genuinely incredible and is a perfect way to start off our SS tiers. For one, I just want to say right now, I love Corrupted Ernie's vocals. They're kind of similar to Corrupted Retabs, but don't sound completely like how they do in the show, but unlike Retab, where I feel like a Corrupted Peter, similar type of chromatic would have worked and they didn't do it and that annoyed me. I don't actually mind they didn't do it for Ernie. His voice sounds really good here. I love his chromatic. And Peter's chromatic, oh my god, it's the best in the entire mod here. I think on par with something like a Family Guy V3 voice, especially when it's corrupted. I adore Corrupted Peter's voice in this song, and it actually bugs me that they don't use it more often except 2 phases. Seriously. That was actually my favorite Corrupted chromatic in the entire mod. That's how good it is with that usage. The instrumental is also very just danger-filled, but also like you hear like an airport waiting room. And I love that. And the melodies work so well, especially with the punching sound effect. It doesn't really sound messy, it doesn't sound choppy at all, it works perfectly well. Just like how it was in Fashion Values. Hey Mindless, are you listening? Use this more often. Mindless, we're talking about an incredible song here. And after another duet from Ernie and Peter, the entire screen just turns into a black void of darkness, and this is where my only issue with the song comes in. This little pause section right here probably could have been cut down a little bit because it does drag on a bit longer than it needed to, but it's definitely worth the wait right after it because, oh my god, we're back into Corrupted Peter for the rest of the song, and it absolutely pops off here. Haven't mentioned how good his corrupted chromatic is? Oh wait, I've said it a couple times, but I'm gonna say it again. It's absolutely peak. And just when you think the song can't get any better, my boy Quagmire shows up. While his chromatic isn't quite as good as it was in Fashion Values, it still absolutely pops off. I really like his hold notes. They're not quite as good as single notes, but they do still sound just genuinely amazing. And his solo for a little bit just absolutely pops off. It reinstills some hope in Peter. I hope they can finally get out of this situation as Peter just pops off right after Quagmire is done. And oh my god, this ending to the song is fire! So damn good! I want to put this one higher, I do, but that pause, you guys, it really kills on bringing any higher. That and the remaining 7 songs are just kind of better. When I first checked out this mod, back when it came out in 2024, this intro song, My Monster, I listened to this and only this song for like a week. Yeah, I was really obsessed with this song back then, and oh my god, this song is just, it starts off so goddamn beautifully. You know how I said that section, the flashback part in I'll Be Fine, made me cry? I had to literally pause the song when the flashback session was over the first time I heard it to wipe a tear from my eye. This section is gorgeous, showing all the pain Steven's gone through over his years as a child. All the trauma he suffered, and it sounds so gorgeous. You think there's maybe some way you can help him, some way you can free him from this darkness, these chains that are around his wrists, but you can't. He's become a puppet to this mindless demon, and now we just have to fight him. And then the song really starts kicking up, and can I just say how much I love Boyfriend's chromatic here? It sounds similar, it sounds like it's familiar, but also just so different, and I love it. It's such a good voice. It's genuinely stellar. Steven's voice is, again, the best chromatic in the entire mod, so yeah, I'm gonna love it, and it's probably the best use of the entire mod. Well, maybe this and Glitched Gem are tied, but it's still an incredible usage, and it's still an amazing chromatic, and I just love it. I have no problems with this song. It's just an incredible jam, but I don't think I'm going to come back to this song nearly as frequently as I once did in the past. I don't think I want to listen to it again for a week solid. I think I would go a little bit crazy. You know, I remember seeing this song back when the Pibby Apocalypse, I think, direct or trailer, whatever it was, came out, and I was so impressed that we were going to see a prequel song to the events of Pibby Apocalypse, and oh my god, this song is just incredible. And what better way to name it than The Rapper? The Rapper is such a damn good song. For only about 2.5 minutes, it pops off the entire way through. It is just absolutely incredible and stellar and perfect in every single aspect, and oh god, I love it so much. Gumball's chromatic in this song is probably the best Gumball chromatic I think I've ever heard in my entire life. It just sounds so damn cheery and happy, and I love it. Boyfriend also just sounds stellar the entire way through when he sings. His chromatic is a hit or miss for a lot of people, and I get why, but for me it's a definite hit. The instrumental is just the biggest party vibe I think I've ever heard since even YOLO from Dustin. Even then, that's saying something. This one's just as good. But under all that joy, under all that happiness, all the excitement, you can just feel something under it. A twinge of sorrow, a twinge of sadness, and a twinge of shame, as the song loses the happy nature it was going for and just turns into an ominous tone. Gumball's glitching out, staring at you as everyone else is also staring at you with just really big smiles on their faces before they all start disappearing, almost like they never existed at all. This isn't real. None of it ever was. There's no happy beginning to this journey. There's only pain, sorrow, and darkness. And as Gumball says his final goodbye, the Rapper slowly comes to an end. And in comes Child's Play V3. Oh my god, how is this song so genuinely incredible? They took the worst song from the original and they just made it like 100 times better. That's not even a question. Literally, it's good for Child's Play. I can do stuff like, I don't know, My Amazing World or Forgotten World or even Blessed by Swords. I can't wait to see it. The instrumental from the second half is not quite as good as it was in the first half, but it's still incredible. Going from a melody of joy to a symphony of sorrow while still keeping the same tone it had is just genuinely an amazing choice. The duets between both Boyfriend and Gumball, which is most of the second half, is just absolutely incredible. Speaking of Gumball, his chromatic is just so good. Yes, I know it's heavily bit crushed, but that actually works perfectly because you can feel the pain in his voice, and it works so well. He's not one to consumed by his darkness, but he is, and he's suffering in pain. I love this song. It's so incredible, but the only reason I'm the song any higher is because I wish the melodies in the second part were just a little bit more unique, but still, they sound absolutely damn incredible. And we're still not done talking about Child's Play. Just quite yet, either.
This song is genuinely something truly special. Hello everyone, I'm Axer, and today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite songs in all of Friday Night Funkin', Child's Play. First off, I just love these chromatics so much. They're just so expressive that the entire thing. BF is just constantly sounding amazing and just sounding extremely confident throughout the entire thing. It sounds really nice. And Gumball just sounds so good. And the song as a whole, it goes for it's definitely very happy. It's definitely very cheery. But at the same time, there's just that small little bit that something's just wrong. There's too much emotion, if that makes any sense. Like, for something so unbelievably, like, cheery and happy, it sounds oddly, like, really, like, overly emotional for something that's supposed to be, like, so happy as the opening is trying to make itself seem as. And also, I really like that. It's that little bit of underlying hint that something is just so unbelievably wrong, and I love it. And the glitches as well, they flow extremely well. They don't really take away at all, and it's while still being, like, pretty cool. And then this bit here, oh, I love it. The way the vocals sound, the way this entire atmosphere feels, it feels like this one last hope from Gumball, just trying to tell you that everything's going to be okay, despite knowing deep down in his heart that it's not. And I love it. And then the second half kicks in, and oh my god, I love it. It sounds absolutely phenomenal. Gumball's chromatic is extremely bit crushed. However, I kind of love it as well. It's just like, he's just completely taken over by the darkness. And it's chromatic, again, it's chromatic is still like a bit crushed to reflect that, and it sounds amazing. It just tickles my ear in just that right way. I love it. And the instrumental throughout the entire song is absolutely stellar. It's just like, it goes from like the cheery tone to like, you know, the like hopeful and yet hopefulness in the middle, and then it just goes into the full emotional package here, and it sounds absolutely insane. I love it. And the melodies throughout the entire song as well, they're so addictive. I love them. You cannot get the da 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 da. Ah, it just stays in there. You cannot get it out. It sounds phenomenal. And then this last bit right here, where you just get to see it full on without any instrumental overload, just how Gumball's chromatic is and how much just pain he's in. It sounds absolutely amazing. I adore this song to no end. It is genuinely one of my favorite songs in all of FNF. It is just perfect. I don't know what else to say. Back to you, Rosa.
Look, as much as I love My Monster, I think Glitched Gem is slightly better than it. The two are very close together, But when it comes down to the two, I prefer Glitch to Gem. For one, the first thing about the song is this intro. It starts off all sorrowful like the rest of the week has been, before Steven laughing and saying that he's done holding back, and he's just ready to go all out and end this once and for all, and I love that. His chromatic in the song is very good. Again, Steven was my favorite chromatic in the entire mod, and it's probably his best used here. Again, just tied with what it was in My Monster, although both do still sound just absolutely incredible. The instrumental just really feels like quick and frantic and dangerful, and I really like that. This is what I want from all Pibby songs, this kind of feeling to it, and I really like it. The melodies, for the most part, well, not changed up a ton from the original, were changed up just ever so slightly, and with Steven's updated chromatic, it makes them sound all the better. And this section right here, where everything's all pink, just sounds genuinely just really nice and smooth on the ears. Before Steven says his iconic line of, "Here we are in the future," which is actually a pretty nice touch, not gonna lie. Before he turns into his court soldier form, this part is actually disturbing as all hell. It's not doesn't change up a bunch, but what it does change up to is something I really, really love. Again, Steven's chromatic is so good in this mod. I love it to pieces, but if that's the one thing that holds the song back, I mean it's the one thing that holds the song back from I tier, is just, I don't absolutely adore the ending. It still sounds amazing, don't get me wrong, but compared to the remaining 4 songs, it just didn't do it for me. That being said, the ending is still amazing. I still love how it sounds. I feel like Steven has just given up. He's broken down, out of power, and it sounds really nice, but just doesn't have the same energy that the rest of the song did. Yeah, this song's still ranking really high, and while I don't think it's the best of Pity Apocalypse anymore, I still really like Come Along With Me. It's top 50 FNF for a reason, although, to be fair, it is literally 50th place, so it has a very good chance of falling out of I tier any day now. But even with all that, I adore Come Along With Me. For one, I love how Finn sounds in the song, both corrupted and uncorrupted. I love his uncorrupted vocals more, but his corrupted chromatic still sounds just genuinely incredible in this song. It works so hard, it's like it's just ready to end you once and for all, and I think that is just perfect and beautiful. And now time for the problem that almost everybody has with the song. The melodies. Yes, I know they're repetitive. Yes, I know there are a total of basically 3 or 4 melodies. Do I look like I care? No. because they absolutely pop off and they rock, and I don't care they're repetitive because, as I just said a second ago, they absolutely slap and they work in the structure they are in. If it was just the exact same one note repeat over and over, I would have a problem, because they balance it out those new melodies every now and then. I think it works. The instrumental is an absolute slap fest the entire way through. Yes, I'm aware it wasn't technically original from what I've heard, but again, I don't care because it just sounds absolutely killer. And the part where Finn is shown uncorrupted again for a second also is just genuinely gorgeous. You can save him from his fate. Maybe you have some chance, but no. He's a puppet to this darkness, and he's just ready to end you. And this murder absolutely pops off. Oh my god, I love this song so much. But I can't call it better than the remaining 3 songs that we have left. Solely because, yes, I love the melodies. Could they have been a bit more diverse? Yes. Is it a massive problem? No. But it is a teeny thing I have a slight issue with. That being said, the ending of this song absolutely slaps. I love how it looks, and I love how the melodies sound. I love how the instrumental just pairs so well with it. It just sounds so damn good. I love this song, but it couldn't rank any higher. Corrupted Hero Smoke Cannon Mix is genuinely just incredible the entire way through. I have a total of 0, and I mean 0 problems with this song. It is just absolutely incredible the entire goddamn way. For one, probably the best about the entire song, I love Finn's new voice. If this was Chromatic the entire mod, I would have a lot of Finn songs ranking a lot higher on this list. It sounds genuinely incredible, kind of like what Finn actually sounds like from the base show without sounding all distorted and stuff. And I really like that. His old chromatic is also really good here. It's not perfect, but it still sounds just absolutely amazing. And I love it. The melodies coming from both Finn and Boyfriend sound absolutely just stellar the entire way through. Especially the duet in the middle and in the end. I love those probably the most in the entire song. Boyfriend's chromatic in this song is just really good the entire way through. It's its default chromatic, but I love it so much. It sounds so damn freaking good. And the instrumental is full of rock vibes, and I adore it the entire way through. That's not true. I think it's a little bit weak in the middle, but even then it still sounds just amazing. And the ending of this song, just absolutely, it just pops off with that duet. I love this song so much. But unfortunately, I don't quite think it was better than the top 2. But only by a tiny amount. These top 3 were so hard, but something had to be in third. Unfortunate thing was Corrupted Hero Smoke Cannon Mix. Elastic Destruction V1 had one good thing going for it. That one good thing being how well it was structured. Yes, I didn't like the melodies, or the chromatics, or the instrumental of the original, but I really did like how it was structured. So they took the structure, and they threw it into V2, and it just absolutely works, and I love it. I have a lot of things I love about this song, starting off with Jake's chromatic. It's a lot better than it was in Together Forever, and if I'm being honest, one of my favorite Jake usage of a chromatic when it comes to all F and F. And that's kind of not even a question these days. But the real star of the show here is Boyfriend. I adore his chromatic in this song. It can do slide notes and hold notes perfectly, and there are a bunch of them in this song, and I love it to pieces. The melodies are also absolutely stellar. They're not boring or repetitive or just flat anymore. They also they're full of life, and I really like that. It makes it sound so much better than it ever could sound in the original Elastic Destruction, and I really like that. Then Jake does a little laugh, signifying the start of the next half of the song, and this section is a bit more fast-paced. It still sounds absolutely incredible, don't get me wrong, and like for the original, this section has a lot more hold notes for Boyfriend for me to love, so that's a pretty big plus. It just sounds so absolute stellar, especially in this part right here. I adore this section. I love how Boyfriend's hold notes sound, and Jake does the exact same thing, and they both just sound absolutely stellar. And then we're back in a melody that was just so similar to how it was in the beginning of the song, and oh my god, I really love Elastic Destruction. I do, but I don't think it was better than the first place winner, and unfortunately I don't think it ever can be better than the first place winner either, which really hurts how much I love this song. I wanted something from my favorite of the big five to be in first, but the first place just was quite a bit better. This song is not only the best from all of Pibby Apocalypse, it is not only the best of the entire Big Five, but My Amazing World is my favorite Pibby song ever. This song captures everything I want in a Pibby song. Fear, sorrow, and just so much more. To start with my very long list of positives, Gumball's chromatic in the song is genuinely the best in the entire mod, if not my favorite Gumball usage ever when he sounds corrupted. You can feel the sorrow and pain in his voice, and I love it to pieces. And then there's this boyfriend chromatic. For it being so similar to the original, it just sounds absolutely beautiful. It knows when to get high, and it knows when to get low, and it never feels overpowering or underpowering, and it just sounds genuinely gorgeous. The instrumental, the entire way through, feels like it's nearing the end of an episode of a very, very long movie, and I love it when instrumentals give out that vibe. And this duet between Boyfriend and Gumball sounds genuinely perfect with Boyfriend's hold notes, and I feel like the end has finally come on to us. But there's still hope for Gumball left. And if Boyfriend can't save him, only one other person can. His own brother. Darwin shows up and oh my god, he sounds perfect here. I love how Darwin sounds in a song. Probably my favorite Darwin ever to exist in terms of his chromatic. It just sounds so good. I feel like he's just calling out to his brother because he knows that even his own time is limited. The two share a heart after all, and if one's corrupted, the other will shortly be corrupted as well. And Darwin knows that, but he's gonna fight on to save his own family. The one that took him in so long ago. And with one final high note declaration from Darwin, and Gumball saying Darkness calls for him, comes probably the best pop-off in FNF history. This section absolutely rocks. Even Elastic Destruction couldn't compare to this absolute peak fest that comes from My Amazing World's ending. Oh my god, I adore this song. There are not enough words in the English dictionary to prove how much I adore My Amazing World. And I will love this song till the day I die. That is how absolutely gorgeous and majestic this song truly is. And with that final entry out of the way, this giant slogfest of a video that I had a bunch of fun making is finally done. This is probably my biggest project to date, and I don't think I'm gonna have a bigger project for a long while. This was 46 different songs that I had to speak on, and yes, I had help on 2 of them, but it still took forever. But even so, at the end of the day, I'm still very proud of how this video turned out. Here is the tier list for the 3 mods I have ranked. I'm considering doing their separate tier lists, but you can probably piece it together. Now, all of that said, I've got a little surprise for you. RIP! Here's my new avatar, designed by my friend Fran, who is getting a video dedicated to them because they helped me make this. They're an amazing person, I love their art style, and they're a cool person, and you should go say hi to them and be their friend. Now, with this video out of the way, I can finally start back up Flavor Rave. Like the video if you want, hit that subscribe button. Our next sub goal is 75 subs with Heaven's Rift. It was gonna be White TP Invasion, but I decided I don't really want to do that mod anymore. It reminds me too much of Brihon, so I'd rather do Heaven's Rift instead. I'll see you all in the next one, and have a very good day.